Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today's video is going to share with you 5 things that you can do to help control your anxiety, especially if you're a highly sensitive person, an empath, or going through the spiritual awakening journey, like most of my audience is. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to show you an actual hands-on technique exercise that involves one of those big exercise balls that is so helpful for not only reducing anxiety, but also allowing for a deep emotional catharsis where you can really let go of a lot of energetic and emotional baggage in a very effortless and kind of relaxing way. But again, that's at the end of the video, so stay tuned. One of the biggest things, honestly, is allowing yourself to feel the deep emotions that are sort of underneath this generalized surface level anxiety. Anxiety is not bad, it's information saying there's some kind of distortion, something you're holding on to within yourself. There's some kind of resistance taking place. There's a book I read a long time ago by Dr. David Hawking called Letting Go. And this book, in my opinion, is one of the best shadow work books I've ever read. It's the most practically, noticeably effective, simple, anyone can do it type of technique, and I'll share it with you right now. It's real simple. You simply allow yourself to feel whatever emotions you're feeling. So, for example, put into practical application. Maybe you're at work and you're feeling anxious, right? And you come home and you're feeling anxious still. The way to practice the letting go technique would be to just sit there in a chair and almost invite, just open up to that anxiety. And as you do that, that energy, that those emotions, they can sort of pass through you on their own. The processing out, the releasing of anxiety, there's nothing we have to do. The body knows exactly what to do. And when you're feeling anxious, it's the body's way of saying, you're ripe, you're ready to heal, you're ready to let go. You don't have to do anything. In fact, the only thing we have to do is not do anything, is to open up and allow. And I promise you, if you do this, if you can allow yourself to sit and be present with those uncomfortable emotions causing the anxiety, you will literally feel it kind of like releasing out of you. And that anxiety just gave you an opportunity to heal, release, and catapult yourself forward spiritually and emotionally. Another important key is to self-pace. Earlier on in my spiritual awakening journey, I was racing for the finish line. I was doing juicing and fasting and sun gazing and meditating and focusing on my chakras and getting energy clearing sessions from people in my local community. I was doing everything I possibly could to live as spiritual of a life as I possibly could. All healthy. Yoga, meditation, juice cleansing, all of that on paper, and for the most part, are extremely beneficial. But like anything in life, balance is key. I was very, very unbalanced. I was going so fast that I became very anxious, very irritable, very unrelatable, just very disconnected from my body, disconnected from reality, and I was just kind of I was a hot mess, quite frankly. And I learned that sometimes when we feel ourselves sort of getting sucked into a pace of personal transformation that's causing us to be anxious, ungrounded, and just unbalanced, the solution is not more of the same. It's not more yoga, more meditation. It's usually the opposite. This happened to me just last night, in fact. We just moved to Sedona, and I've been going through a lot of fast changes and feeling exactly as I just shared. And what I did is I allowed myself to watch a couple episodes of Cobra Kai, one of my favorite TV shows on Netflix, and eat a keto brownie dessert, Heavier 3D type of activities were exactly what the doctor ordered. I went from feeling just like I was living in a pressure cooker, high strung, super anxious, super discontent, relapsing into old behaviors for the sake of spiritual growth. I went from that to grounded, present, balanced, happy, open, at peace. So pacing is huge. Go at your own pace. Honor yourself. We're covering a lot of ground already pretty quickly, just living on earth at this time of the ascension as it is. There's nothing wrong and there's no shame in going at a pace that doesn't drive you bonkers. The other day I was sitting there doing a Zoom meeting with my coach. His name is Doug. He's a trained psychologist. And he said, Victor, this is the most agitated I've ever seen you. And I felt agitated. I felt like it's been going through a lot of changes in my life, as I mentioned earlier in the video. And he said, what else do you feel? What else do you feel? And when I tuned into myself, when I just focused inward, the first thing I realized is I felt anxious. I feel agitated. I feel kind of angry, kind of like hot-tempered. He said, what else do you feel, Vic? That's just the surface. And I noticed it was fear. I noticed, or actually he helped me notice, he said, Victor, I see a lot of sadness. This anxiety is kind of like God or someone saying, hey, guess what? You have some pent-up energy, some emotions you're carrying around that are influencing you big time, but you're not aware of them. So we're gonna do you a favor and give you this annoying symptom of anxiety, so it causes you to ask the question of why? Why do I feel anxious? Where's it really coming from? When we turn inward, it's like you get to see underneath that anxiety. So how do you deal with anxiety? There's no hacks, techniques, ways of escaping it, controlling it. It's get to the root cause of it. And the beautiful thing is when you get to the root cause of your anxiety, you do a lot more than control your anxiety and minimize the symptom. You open up to more of yourself, more of your true self, more of your free-flowing, dynamic, authentic self. And then you get to walk through life as that version of yourself, more free, more expansive, more comfortable, more relaxed. Your health will improve, everything improves. And it all started with that pesky anxiety. A lot of empathic people I meet, including my former and sometimes current self, are extremely ungrounded. For the longest time, I thought being an empathic person made me special, made me unique, made me psychic. And in a sense, it does. It makes you very perceptive of other people's emotions and what's going on with them. But why is that? Why do we get so invested in other people's stuff? And I'll tell you what I realized is because I was escaping my own stuff, my own body. A lot of times when we're young or something throughout life happens to us, we experience a trauma. As a way of coping, we in a sense escape mentally. We come up in these higher chakras, and we sort of disconnect ourselves from the pain, the tension, the anxiety of what's going on in the physical body. And while that allows us to be very perceptive and very intuitive, it also is a source of a lot of anxiety because there's a disconnection between consciousness and our physical grounded body. And I've learned the more I come into my body, a couple things happen. One, the more I get to release and confront a lot of the stored up trauma that's been there, causing this disassociation in the first place. But also I get to maintain my intuition. I don't just abandon it for this monkey, gorilla 3D experience. It's actually the opposite. I get to be very intuitive, very, perceptive, but at my own discretion. I can become aware if I choose of what's going on in Sally's mind. Well, is she stressed? Is she anxious? Is she a good fit for me vibrationally? I can tell if I want to, rather than being sucked into Sally's world, then John's world, then Billy's world. Ungrounded, anxious. I come back into Victor, into this 3D body. And it's a game changer. So I'm going to teach you something that I learned that can help you do this really easily. We'll do it together right now. In fact, if you've been watching this video, you might already feel kind of ungrounded. If you don't believe me, let me ask you this. Can you feel your feet? How much can you feel your feet right now? Bring your awareness into your feet. Bring your awareness now into your heart. You might notice it takes a moment to really connect with the heart and the feet. Now, look around the room. Find something physical. I'll use this. And just stare at it. Is it blurry? Is it kind of blurry around it? Or does it look real solid? If it's kind of blurry around it, it means you're still a bit ungrounded. So what you do is you just stare at it and remind yourself, I'm in the here and now. I'm in this body. And allow the physical objects in your room sort of come to you. Allow the physical objects in your environment, allow them to support you. While you feel your feet, your heart, you can kind of feel yourself dropping back in. One last big thing before I show you the big ball technique is patience. Have patience for yourself. I don't know about you, but for me, especially when I was younger and had a lot more, like social anxiety to be exact, the second I would feel myself sweating or my face getting red or my heart pounding or my mind sort of clouding up or just a generalized feeling of anxiety, the moment those symptoms kicked on, I would get pissed off at myself. I would be like, man, Victor, God, really? No? I would resist, I would contract, I would judge myself very, very harshly. And what do you think that did? Of course, it made it worse. It makes it a lot worse when we contract against our own natural anxiety. Anxiety is just one of those, it's like a breeze blowing through your hair. You're gonna be kind of an uptight weirdo if you're on guard against the wind blowing against you, and yet we are on guard against our own anxiety a lot of the times. And while a wind might catch you off guard, knock off your hat, you gotta chase it down, you grab it, you could sort of accept that, and then it comes and it goes. Just like a gust of wind. It comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. Anxiety, if you allow it, if you don't judge yourself, if you have patience, it will come and go. This happened to me a few days ago where I had to really have patience for myself. I was with some friends, and there was one of those like silences where everyone stopped talking. For some reason, I have an association with that and people noticing me. And that's exactly what happened. It got real quiet, and I almost saw it coming. Maybe I manifested it, and everyone looked at me, and they were like, hey, Vic, like, well, what's going on? They could see I was feeling nervous because that old inner child shyness, it came, a breeze blew through with anxiety. And I got a little bit red when people did that. But you wanna know what? I almost like smiled to my inner child. I almost gave myself love and patience and tolerance, and like a breeze, it came and went. In the past, I would have let it escalate because of my own choice to not have patience for myself. Okay, my friends, here we are. So just plop yourself down on a big ball like that. You can get them on Amazon for like 10 bucks. And as you see, I'm just stretching out my arms, leaning back, and letting go. Once you settle in, you want to start to breathe really deeply. How to bring the breath deep into your belly and big, relaxing exhales, feeling the tension release. That's part one. Part two, you're going to do the exact opposite because that can bring up stuff, what we just did. This is where you just remind yourself that you are safe, you are in your body, and it's all good. Go at your own pace with this, my friends. Peace. Thank you for watching.